चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददति स्वपदान्तिकं। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यः च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। बुधाय महत्प्रिय महापुरो विभुर्निर्वक्षति आदमुषु पुरुषा वंक्ते गुणान् सुधा ससुधा स्मकं कृष्णमङ्गमं वचांसि मे। Hare Krishna. So it's good to be back in Sydney. See all the devotees and of course Shri Radha Gopinath in their beautiful spring dress and very nicely made garlands. I don't know who is making them, but they're very beautiful as well. And I've noticed that the verse board already has a picture of Srila Prabhupada. Was that Mohan Prabhu again? Ah, okay. All right, I guess next time I'll come, it will be decorated with gemstones. Every time there is an improvement. So, looks like Sydney devotees have very prominent artistic sense. So we are reading from the first canto of Srimad Bhagvatam, chapter 6, the conversation between Narada and Vyasadeva, text 28. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Prayujamane Maitam. Prayujamane Maitam. Shuddham Bhagavatim Tanum. Shuddham Bhagavatim Tanum. Arabdha Karma Nirvano. Arabdha Karma Nirvano. Nyapatat Pancha Bhautika. Nyapatat Pancha Bhautika. Prayujjamanetmaitam. Shuddham Bhagavatim Tanum. Arabdha Karma Nirvano. Napatat Pancha Bhautikam. Prayujjamane Maitam. Shuddham Bhagavatim Tanum. Arabdha Karma Nirvano. Napatat Pancha Bhautika. Prayujjamane Maitam. Bhagavatim Tanum. Arabdha Karma Nirvano. Nyapatat Pancha Bhautika. Prayujjamane Maitam. Shuddham Bhagavatim Tanum. Arabdha Karma Nirvano. Nyapatat Pancha Bhautika. Prayujjamane. Having been awarded Mai on me, tam, that, Shuddham, transcendental, Bhagavatim, fit for associating with the personality of Godhead, Tanum, body, Arabdha, acquired, Karma, fruitive work, Nirvana, prohibitive, Nyapatat, quit, Panchabhautikaha, body made of 5 material elements. Translation purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Having been awarded a transcendental body befitting an associate of the personality of Godhead, I quit the body made of 5 material elements, and thus all acquired fruitive results of work, karma, stopped. Purport. Informed by the personality of Godhead that he would be awarded a transcendental body befitting the Lord's association, Narada got his spiritual body as soon as he quitted his material body. This transcendental body is free from material affinity and invested with 3 primary transcendental qualities, namely eternity, freedom from material modes, and freedom from reactions of fruitive activities. Interesting. The material body is always afflicted with the lack of these 3 qualities. A devotee's body becomes at once surcharged with the transcendental qualities as soon as he is engaged in devotional service of the Lord. It acts like the magnetic influence of a touchstone upon iron. The influence of transcendental devotional service is like that. Therefore, change of the body means stoppage of the reaction of 3 qualitative modes of material nature upon the pure devotee. There are many instances of these in the revealed scriptures. Dhruva Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj and many other devotees were able to see the personality of Godhead face to face, apparently in the same body. This means that the quality of a devotee's body changes from material to transcendence. That is the opinion of the authorized Goswamis via the authentic scriptures. In the Brahma Samhita it is said that beginning from the Indragopa germ up to the great Indra, king of heaven, all living beings are subjected to the law of karma and are bound to suffer and enjoy the fruitive results of their own work. Only the devotee is exempt from such reactions by the causeless mercy of the Supreme Authority, the personality of Godhead. Prayujamane maitam Shuddham Bhagavatim tanum Arabdha karma nirvano Nyapatat panchabhautikaha. Having been awarded a transcendental body befitting an associate of the personality of Godhead, I quit the body made of 5 material elements, and thus all acquired fruitive results of work, karma, stopped. So Narad Muni is telling his own story, how he was conditioned and how he became liberated. And here he tells how he got spiritual body. And this is something which is very supposed to be enthusing for us, because this material body we have is not very exciting thing. Of course, many people think it is under the influence, but under the influence of the ignorance. But really, it's just a bag of bones, right? You have to carry around a dead corpse on the living soul. It's like punishment, right? Just imagine someone ties you to a corpse, right? And makes you carry this corpse around for a few decades. So, but because people are identifying themselves with that body so much, they kind of getting used to it. And they don't even notice the smell of the body, right? This body is such a nasty thing. If you don't wash it for a while, it starts stinking horribly, right? And so, yeah, we can do our best with this body, but eventually it will still fall apart, and all its characteristics will manifest. And yeah, this body causes so many problems. Ati-atmika, ati-bhautika, ati-daivika, all the troubles, right? That sicknesses and all these things, and others are causing us so many troubles, whether insects or animals or human beings, and demigods, of course, creating disastrous conditions for this body, whether it is earthquake or tsunami or whatever it is. There are so many things which can happen with this body. And so even if you want to travel somewhere, you have to make so many arrangements. The cost of transferring this body from one place to the other is pretty high. So you have to make so many arrangements, and you have to have an ID for this body, right? Otherwise, people will not believe that this is you. You have to prove that you are you, just because of this body. And so, because of all these troubles, sometimes some transcendentalists, they want to become nobody, just to avoid all this hassle, connected with the body. They want to become liberated from the bodily conditioning. Just because they don't understand that there is much better option, that you can have transcendental body, which has no, which gives you no trouble. Can you imagine that? Body which never falls sick, the body which never gets tired, the body which is completely free to move anywhere, and which is eternal, right? It's an amazing option, and so Narad Muni got that. He got such a body. And with this body, like the kind of freedom one has is completely unimaginable for the conditioned soul. Like there was one episode that Narad Muni came to one king, and this king was very demoniac. And so Narad Muni likes to preach to everybody, whether good or bad people. And so he told this king that you have to stop your demoniac activities and start chanting the holy names. And this demon became so upset that he pulled out a sword, and without any, warning, he just hit Narad Muni with the sword, with the idea of killing him, right? But because Narad Muni has transcendental body, so the sword just went through him, and he kept, standing there and smiling. And no matter how many times king tried to kind of cut Narad Muni's body, it didn't work. And then the king became very impressed and he said, how that happens? I can't kill you. And Narad Muni said, yeah, because this is not material body. It's transcendental body, it's eternal, indestructible, right? And then this was his, we can say, selling point. From this point onward, he could influence this demon, impressing him with the power of devotional service. And so, it might seem to be like a fairy tale for us, right? At this point. But Srila Prabhupada's genius is that he makes it very practical and very easily relatable in our case. He explains that it doesn't happen all of a sudden, abruptly, that you have the material body and then bang, you have spiritual body. No, this is the gradual process and the development of the spiritual body within material body. Actually, we're spirit souls, but because of the pressure from the three modes of material nature, this pressure is so high that our size is 1/10,000 of the tip of the hair because of all the miseries, right, we're experiencing. We're so suppressed. But when one is engaging oneself in devotional service, it's explained that spiritual body starts growing within the material body. And by the time devotee quits this material body, his spiritual body is already ready to use. And so he just sheds the external shell, and then he carries on in his spiritual body. So that's why we say that for the devotees, that devotees don't die, they just leave this material body, right? And they carry on in their transcendental bodies. And we can see, of course, these kind of examples, like Narad Muni, these kind of descriptions, they are very much distant, seem to be very much distant in time, right? Thousands of years ago. But it's always happening with devotees, that this process is always working in the same way. And we can see Srila Prabhupada's example, that even though he had material body, but because he was engaged in such an intense devotional service, in such focused devotional service, Tivrena Bhakti Yogena, for so many years, that actually his body was fully spiritualized. It's like the example which was given in the previous purport, that if you hit iron rod within the fire, then this iron takes the quality of the fire. So in the same way, even when pure devotee's body is apparently material, but because of the contact with the devotional spiritual energy, it becomes completely spiritualized. And that's why, you can see that, of course, Prabhupada's disciples were fortunate enough to witness that even though Srila Prabhupada was an old man, and he was not very tall, and he was not, physically very powerful, kind of frail and small old man. Nevertheless, he was so attractive that, of course it's kind of funny example, but some of the ladies coming in contact with Prabhupada, they were asking if they could marry him. It's like, it's unexplainable how a young lady can be attracted to a 70-year-old man, right? But because Prabhupada was exhibiting, such powerful spiritual characteristics, even at such an age, he was amazingly attractive for everybody. And of course, those who were conditioned in a certain way, they were attracted in the wrong way. Prabhupada was saying, no, I'm sannyasi. I'm fine with it, thank you. But, yeah, there are so many examples. Actually, we keep hearing these examples again and again and again. Especially, being devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and dedicating his whole life to his service. Actually, many Prabhupada disciples were saying that Prabhupada exhibited golden effulgence. When he would walk into the temple room, actually the devotees would point to each other, just look, he is golden. He appears to be golden. It's the same way like Shukadeva Goswami, because of him being a devotee of Krishna. It's actually described in the first canto of Srimad Bhagvatam at the end that when he entered, everyone remembered Krishna because he had, bodily features and body color like Krishna, right? So actually it's happening that due to association is a very powerful thing, that due to association we acquire the characteristics or the qualities of those we're associating with, right? That's why in a mundane sense we can see, in the material world we can see, for example, so many people are attached to dogs, and then, there are so many cases when the dog and the master, they look exactly the same. I guess this kind of association is really good for the dog, but not very good for the master. Right? The dogs are advancing in human association and humans are degrading. And so that's why Srila Prabhupada said that we have this choice, right? We either serve God or serve dog, one or the other. And if you serve the Supreme Lord, naturally by association you acquire very similar qualities, Sat Chit Ananda. And it's very interesting how Prabhupada explains it in the purport. He says that the transcendental body is free from material affinity and invested with three primary transcendental qualities, namely eternity. We recognize that, Sat, right? But then for Chit, he says freedom from material modes, right? Because modes, the word mode is guna in Sanskrit, and guna means rope, something which binds you, right? And so if you develop the Chit quality, then you become free from bondage, so freedom from the material modes. And very interestingly, he explains Ananda. He says, freedom from reactions of fruitive activities. That fruitive activities are of two types, right? That good and bad. And so, of course, when people get bad karma, they suffer, right? But when they get good karma, it looks like they enjoy. But actually, this so-called enjoyment is providing even bigger suffering. That, first of all, it's all temporary. And no matter how high you go, you cannot stay high, right? You have to go down. It's like people are so interested in summiting the mountain peaks, right? And so many people go into the Himalayas to summit, especially, of course, Everest. Very interesting place. I'm thinking that, like, why did they call it Everest, this mountain? Maybe because, there are actually many people who are forever resting on its slopes, right? That they never made it. They either never made it up or never made it down. And but those who made it up, it's really cold up there, and it's very lonely, and you can't stay there for very long, right? You have to go down. And so this is the material world. No matter how high you get, you still have to go down. At best, you go down, just, give it all up. But in the worst case scenario, there will be a fall, right? And most of the times it's happening. And so every single so-called achievement in this world is just a catch, right? To make you even more miserable. So miseries sometimes are easier than, so-called pleasures, because miseries you see it for what it is, right? And then you suffer, and then you kind of get over it. But the pleasure is even more painful. It's like, the fish, which is biting the worm on the hook and, enjoying the worm, enjoying the food, and then just, someone's pulling the fish out of the water. And so, it's always like that. There is always a catch, that all these so-called pleasures, they are just catches for giving us even more misery, right? And so that's why all the reactions, whether they are good or bad, they're all bad. There is nothing good. It's like, even if you gain something substantial in this world, that you would have to spend such a long time and struggle all your life trying to protect that treasure, right? From so many envious and jealous people who will try to snatch it away from you, right? And then you die at the end anyway, right? And someone will take that from your cold hands. That, object of sense gratification. It's like, normally I don't watch movies or cartoons, but I've been in one devotee house, and the children in that house, they were watching the Ice Age cartoon, and they were so excited by that. They actually grabbed on me and they said, you have to watch, at least one episode from the Ice Age. And they sat me in front of the computer screen and they played the Ice Age. And of course it's like stupid cartoon. But one thing I've noticed, that there is one, I don't know how many of you watched the Ice Age, but there is one special character in that cartoon, and that character is a squirrel. And no matter what's happening, like things go, like the whole world is kind of getting destroyed and there are so many problems, but the squirrel is concerned about one thing, the nut, right? the squirrel literally goes nuts because of that nut. And so the squirrel has to go through so many miseries because of that nut, right? First of all, so many miseries to acquire that nut, and then second, to protect that nut, and then it loses the nut at the end anyway. So that's the story of everyone in the material world, you know, like you endeavor so much to get what you wanted, and then you struggle to protect it even more, and then you lose it at the end anyway. So it's like misery on the top of misery. When I was a child, I remember there was one kind of action movie, and the plot was that one gang robbed bank, but instead of money they got a box full of gold bricks, and they were like driving away with these gold bricks, and then they kind of managed to get away from the police, but then another gang was chasing after them, and they got into crossfire. You know, like whole movie was, you know, one gang takes this gold from the other gang, kills few people, then they get it from them, etc. So this box of gold was going from one group to the other group, and it's like the very end of the movie. You know, the guy is kind of escaping with this box of gold in a van, and it's kind of open van. There are no seats behind. It's all meant for cargo. And so this box of gold is sitting in the middle of the van. And then someone else is kind of chasing after him, and then he's shooting, and he managed to shoot the guy who was chasing him. And so, but in the process, he loses control of the steering. And then this van, and there is a mountain road, and this van goes off the road, and he presses the brake, and the van is kind of stops at the cliff, at the edge, and you know that his side, the driver's side, already, you know, what do you call it? Yeah, tilting, right, on the edge. And so basically, you know, at any second he can go down with this gold. And then he's looking behind, and he's seeing every time he's tilting forward, this box of gold also moves forward, right? And so he understands that few times it will tilt like that, and this box of gold will take him down. And so then, oh no, sorry, that actually the box of gold is at the outer edge, and so every time the band tilters, this box of gold goes a little bit further, and so the band tilters more, and he realizes that after a few times that he will go down with this gold, with this box, and then he realizes there is only one solution, and so he kind of leans, and with his leg, and you know, luckily the back doors are open, with his leg he kicks that, you know, box, and it goes off the cliff, and then the car kind of gains balance, and then he's saved. Right? He saved his life, but you know what he was struggling for, he saw, you know, like so hard, he lost it anyway. So this is like material world, right? So yeah, actually even materialistic people, you know, like whether they are materialistic or not, we cannot judge, but you know, ordinary people, we can say, those who do not necessarily practice Krishna consciousness, they realize this nature of the world, recognize it, that there is no happiness here at all. You know, misery is miserable, and happiness turns into bigger misery at the end, especially because happiness makes you so relaxed, and then the blow of material nature feels even more painful, right? If you're relaxed and you're not ready to receive it. Yeah, at least if you're miserable, you kind of, are ready for the blow, but when you're relaxed, it's so painful. And so, yeah, but if you don't have those reactions, if you are free from those reactions, you don't suffer. And Prabhupada kind of paraphrases in this purport this verse from Brahma Samhita. Yastvindra Gopat Havendra Hosva Karma Bandhanurupa Phala Bhajana Matanoti Karmani Nirdahati Kintu Chavakti Bhajam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. That every living entity in this world is receiving the reactions of karma, starting from Indra down to Indragopa. They are bound. Bandhanurupa karma, palabhajana matanoti, that they get the results of their activities, whether good or bad. But this is called karma. But then the second half of the verse says, Karmani nirdahati kintucha bhakti bhajam, that one who is engaged in devotional service, one becomes free from the reactions of karma. And if someone is free from the reactions of karma, there is no misery. And if there is no misery, then you're blissful. Simple, right? If there is no darkness, there is light. It's gonna automatically be light. And so we can see Srila Prabhupada, that he had to go through many miserable conditions in his attempts to establish Krishna consciousness very solidly in the Western world, having to undergo many troubles and tribulations, right? But then it's like one episode after one of the biggest troubles described in, of course, from the very beginning, right? When Srila Prabhupada lost his business, and he was feeling so happy, he said, okay, it is Krishna. Krishna is known as Hari, right? Hari means one who is taking away things, right? Or one who is stealing. Thief. Krishna is known as thief. So Krishna likes to take things away. So he took away my business. So he was so happy. Can you imagine? Like working for, I'm not sure if anyone knows the statistics, how many years Prabhupada put into his business. Decades, right? Couple of decades at least. And then just imagine you worked on something for a couple of decades and then, you've lost it. How would you feel? But Prabhupada felt happy. This is like unbelievable, right? So we can see there are so many examples. And one episode which is very interesting, after they were fighting so much for the Juhu land, right, for the temple. And then this Mr. Nair was trying to cheat Srila Prabhupada and take the land away, and Prabhupada literally had to take help from Nrsingadev, right? At one point, after he gave so much hardships to the devotees and even called police on the devotees, and devotees were beaten, even blood was drawn, etc. And ladies were dragged by the hair, etc. So, and Prabhupada had to ask Nrsingadev to take care of this guy, and so very soon he got heart attack, because Nrsingadev is inside, right? The Supreme Lord can take any form, and so heart attack means, if anyone knows medical science, that your heart breaks, that, this is what they say, that some artery is getting clogged, and then the blood has no, way to escape, and so the blood actually accumulates in the heart, and then it breaks the heart. So this is what's happening when people getting heart attacks. And so we can understand that Mr. Nair's heart was ripped apart, right? And so nothing happens without the Lord's will, right? So he died because of this heart attack. And when Srila Prabhupada was informed that this happened, he just folded his hand and he said, "Thank you, Lord Nrsingadev, that you heard my prayers." So Lord Nrsingadev ripped this guy's heart from inside, right? Because he was giving so much trouble to Srila Prabhupada and his disciples. And then after all this, and then, the wife of Mr. Nair, she was trying to continue, she was trying to get the land, despite of this happened to her husband. And then Prabhupada called her over and he said, "You've noticed what happened to your husband? You want the same thing happen to you?" And she got really scared. She fell at Prabhupada's feet and surrendered, and kind of, the land was in Prabhupada's possession. And then one devotee who was eyewitness of the very first class, which was given at the Juhu after the victory, he said Prabhupada actually started the class with the statement that just look, that we've got such a wonderful piece of land without any trouble. And the devotees were like a little confused, like, what does Prabhupada mean, without any trouble? We just meant through so much trouble. But, this is how pure devotee perceives it, because pure devotee is transcendental. He's seeing everything as Krishna's arrangement, as Krishna's pastimes. That's it. We are going through, external events and suffer or try to enjoy because of these circumstances, because we don't connect them to Krishna, right? That's why I think, okay, this is mine to enjoy. But pure devotee is always seeing how everything is connected to Krishna. That's why the sixth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, text 30, explains Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam chamaya pashyati sachemena tasyaham na pranashami sachemena pranashati, that one who is seeing me everywhere and everything in me will never lose me, and such a devotee will never be lost to me also. So, and Prabhupada was always in that state of consciousness, and that's why he was saying that to the devotees. You're thinking you're sitting on the floor, but I know I'm sitting at Krishna's lap. So like that. And in such a state of consciousness, when one sees Krishna in every single manifestation, one basically already participates in Krishna Lila. And so for such a devotee, Krishna Lila, there is no material happiness and there is no misery. It's just pure spiritual bliss, ananda, right? And so this is the state of consciousness of a pure devotee. And so that's why, in very interesting way, Srila Prabhupada explains how, freedom from reactions of karma is basically equivalent of Ananda. And there are, of course, many other interesting points Srila Prabhupada brings out in the purport to help us understand how this process is actually happening. That the result is explained in here, but then Prabhupada makes it very relevant to us, helping us understand how the spiritual body is growing within the material body by the process of devotional service. And we can see that even young devotees, they are not so affected by material energy. First of all, Krishna is protecting, right? And second, devotees develop the consciousness which makes them immune to the reactions of karma, which is very interesting. And so the more one becomes serious, the more one gets that result. And then, of course, at the end of life, one quits the material body and continues happily serving Krishna in the spiritual body without even much worry about losing the body. It's like, okay, old and useless garment, who will lament over this, right? If you have something better, right? So who will lament over the material body by having spiritual body? It's like lamenting over, some kind of old and battered, junky car. If someone gives you, Bentley as a replacement, right? Okay, we'll take your junky car, we'll give you brand new Bentley. So will you lament over your junky car? Of course not. So in the same way, devotee doesn't worry about the material body. All right. So anyone has anything to share or ask or complain about? Yes?
How do you stop worrying?
Sorry?
It's like, in Europe especially, like how will we stop worrying about things?
Why do we worry? Yeah, because we think we're warriors. We're meant to conquer the material nature for our sense gratification, right? That's why we're worrying so much. Because Paramatma says, you're gonna lose, man. You'll be in trouble. So this is where the worry is coming from. Anyone else? Yes.
You're explaining how devotees are not fearful about giving up the material body, but during this lifetime, when the devotee is practicing, the devotee can develop attachment for the deities and the service that they're doing and the association of devotees. And at the time of death, the devotee may not know where they're going, like even if they can understand they're going to a better place. Still, because of that attachment, then that may induce some sort of fear that I'm going to lose the association of these devotees.
Yeah. Yeah, it's part of our material conditioning that we are not aware of what's happening with us. But if one is advanced in devotional service, means one has fully developed spiritual body. One will be really happy to leave the material world. And this anxiety comes because we are not yet advanced to that point, and we might have to receive another material body to kind of complete our our process of devotional advancement. One interesting example which comes to my mind is one Prabhupada disciple. Her name was Ratna Ranjini Devi, and she's from Scotland. She was from Scotland, and She's been amazing devotee, serving devotees so much, and deities, and etc., etc. She was like a mother for the whole community, and then she got cancer, and she was dying, and devotees were taking care of her, and at one point, really close to her departure, they saw that she's like beaming with joy, really so much, happiness. It was obvious that she's like really enjoying something on amazing level. And then they became curious, because cancer and all the pain, etc. She was not supposed to be so blissful. But then they were asking, what's happening? That you look so happy, it's amazing. And she was a little shy. She said, no, I cannot say. But devotees were pressing and insisting, and then finally she actually revealed that she said, I'm so happy because I see where am I going. I'm going to Krishna, and I see Krishna even now, and I see Krishna's associates with him, and I see myself in my spiritual body. And she told who she was, that she was a little gopi girl, Manjari, assistant of Radharani and her associates. And she said what her service was, actually making garlands. And she said, I cannot wait to go there. I'm so ecstatic at this, perspective to get back to my service like that. So this is what's happening if someone already kind of mature in one's devotion. One will be really happy. Oh my God, finally I'm out of here, checking out. Back home. But then Narad Muni is such a, convinced preacher that he got free passage anywhere in the material and in the spiritual world. So he can go between these worlds anywhere he wants. Which is also pretty ecstatic, if you think about it. Quite a convenient position to have. No tickets, no visas, nothing. No fatigue. Yes.
After getting the knowledge and mercy from the Bhaktivedantas, why did Narada Muni didn't stay in one place? Why did he start traveling throughout the universe?
Why didn't he stay in one place? Well, traveling is very natural for someone who is detached. That normally people stay in one place because they're so attached, right? To the place, to their possessions or whatever. But if someone develops detachment, then he doesn't want to stay in the same place. So because Narad Muni got detached by their association, he went on to travel. All right, so thank you all very much. We'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagvatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Sydney Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.